It is 11:33, and I call the workshop of the Highway 281 Task Force of the City of Blanco to order. Thank you all for being here, and I want to keep this meeting brief because I know it's 11:30, people are getting a bit hungry. And this is just basically an overview of what the plan is and to start planning for the future. So what I wanted to do, it says roll call, but we don't really have an official list yet. So the roll call is I'm present. If you would all like to stand for the pledge. I pledge of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to move on to announcements. I don't really have any announcements at this time. Just like I said earlier, this is basically the starting point of this task force. So with that being said, and the format that I wanted to do for this meeting and probably the future meetings is to have it a workshop. So we're be able to interact and discuss things and not just have me talking the whole time. So with that being said, I've passed out to everybody. If you don't have it, there's some more copies up here. But the kind of switch up the order. First, I want to talk about the subcommittees. So that's item 2 on the agenda. Consider a discussion on Highway 281 Task Force subcommittees, safety, business, tourism, historic, environmental, engineering, operational, PIO, and media. So what I have given y'all is a draft of what we think the subcommittee should look like and who should be the liaison for those subcommittees. But this is just a draft, and we are open to suggestions. If you see a subcommittee that shouldn't be here, or you feel like there's one that should be here, just let's start the discussion.
And so I just want to clarify here, the goal, I'm assuming partially today and in the next day, is to get a person or two to be the point person or main contact to be driving all of the work that will go on under those committees, so that that person then will be receiving requests for others who want to get involved, who have an interest, who have special expertise or talents or skills they might be able to offer. And then someone's going to be the point person or co-leaders in each of those areas to inform the larger task force and community about the work that they're doing.
Yes, that's exactly what our goal is. Our goal is to have all these different subcommittees and then have the chairs of those subcommittees be the liaison to the big task force. Because I know we have a lot of interested people in this. I mean, it's affecting all of us. So we didn't want to have we wanted to have the task force, but we also wanted to make sure that we didn't overwhelm everybody and just have a leader for each group. And then we're gonna have the subcommittees be meeting on their own and then come back as a big task force and go from there.
Cool. So I guess what we're looking for, if we started down, well, to grouping you got safety. Da-da-da. So, and then your outreach will be to the school, you'll find somebody that'll interact with you from the school.
So when we talk about safety, so so the scope of the safety, are we looking at? So the project, I guess, is not stoppable. What we're looking at is how does it impact interior to the city and a possible relief route? Is that, so the scope of that safety measure?
Yes, I think we want to bring up every single argument, stat, consideration for what increasing that traffic through our city limits would do to us. And actually, the overall expansion, any information that you got for just what the impact of that expansion is going to do for safety, even outside our city limits, because of the entrance and exits for all those subdivisions that you guys work all the time. So I think the county will have some place in this as well, and the sheriff's department, but what they see, accidents, potential dangers for the increased volume of traffic all the way up to 81, and certainly within the city limits, but that's my guess. Maybe I'm completely out, but anything we could do to show what expanding 281 and increasing the volume of traffic, and I'm sure the speed with it, along these heavily populated areas where we have subdivision, and then certainly school zones, pedestrian areas, just our residential traffic. So the city clearly would be much more substantial, but I think citizens along 281 would disagree if we thought the only safety impact for this is going to be just in our city limits. So if we can include.
No,
that,
I'm just trying to say like on stats
Yeah.
and stuff, because I don't, statistics work for you and against you.
Right.
So if you look at, Tech Stop plan is to have ingress and egress lanes and add additional stoplights to these subdivisions,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna say the expansion will improve safety, not deter from it. So that, so if you just take the safety aspect, that I don't want to provide, then they say, oh, it's a see, we're doing it because all these
Right.
things, because we're helping these issues.
Yeah, they're already saying they're going to make it, that this is going to make it safer. So
Yeah, so
with your
my main concern
experience
is
and-
how we dump that volume of lanes into the existing lanes without some traffic calming devices and stuff. So I've reached out to NITS and some other places, so
Can I speak for a moment?
Sure.
I have this, my name's Bill DePue, and, Chief Rubin's heard my name. I've been complaining about the speeding on 281 forever. I hate the truck, I hate the traffic. I think, a rally around the city is a great thing, get them out of it. Well, that was yesterday. Since then, I've given this a thought, and, my thought is that we build this nice $20 million road all the way around Blanco. So these truck drivers could drive around without stopping, way back as they go by. And we get no revenue from it, we get nothing. Now, TxDOT is going to be delivering all these people to our front door, our doorstep. If we spend $5 million on rejuvenating Blanco, and from the north hill at the north, as soon as you top that hill, you start seeing an avenue with trees and sidewalks and shops on the side, kind of like downtown Wimberley or Toledo or Fredericksburg. You drive down Fredericksburg, people are on those sidewalks going up and down, in and out of shops. And you have the infrastructure of Blanco. You put that money back into Blanco, create business, it would slow the traffic down immediately anyway. Our 281 overlay committee, they've been talking about how they can engineer things that will make drivers coming in instinctively slow down. We put lights up, the crosswalks, so people can cross back and forth. That'll stop traffic. Put up a light on 13th Street, right, going up to the elementary school. Just when people come up there and stop, would turn on, but still be something to slow people down. We could have, just all things of that nature. And, you come up top that hill and you'll see this beautiful flag and welcoming the drivers in the black thing. They don't see that in Marble Fall, they don't see it in, in Barnet or Land Passes. It's just ugly all the way through. And so instead of trying to divert all these people around Blanco on a road that we're not going to get any return off of, we bring them into town and we make it a place where they want to stop and spend their money. And, I like this, I'm going to come back to this place. And at the same time, we're taking care of our own infrastructure. We having money to do our streets, to do our sewers and lines, instead of investing in Blanco and not on the road to the truck driver.
And I think those things are not mutually exclusive. I think that what you say is absolutely right, which is why, we've been working on the 281 corridor. The chief and Warren and the mayor have been working with TxDOT on traffic calming designs and things to do so that it will be a more inviting place for people to stop who are going to stop. But I think our concern is when you have back-to-back 18-wheelers hauling gravel, et cetera, it can undo a lot. So maybe there's a way that we need to focus on both.
Well,
This will all be investigation.
Experience. I
Yeah.
think that can get all the land, build a new bridge across the Blanco River somewhere. Figure out where it exits, where it comes back again. And I said, there's gonna be no money coming from that. There's gonna be nothing coming out of that boat.
It's a consideration. I mean, I think it's an option for us to all be as
Invest in
citizens.
Blanco instead and just say, yeah, come on into Blanco. They'll be slowing down, but they'll have it. And that'll mitigate the.
Just so you know, we are working on gateway signs, so it will hopefully be more welcoming. Welcome to Blanco.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, you need another committee on here, maybe the streetscape committee, and give them an imaginary $5 million and see what they can come up with. To improve Blanco, invest in Blanco instead of a highway outside there.
Work on the calming.
I was going to suggest another committee, and maybe it is the business tourism committee, but I would call it the economy committee. Driving right into this, we have a way of knowing right now how many trucks that come up 281 stop in Blanco, other than at a stoplight, how many stop to do business. And I don't know how you can do that. Maybe the chief could put traffic counters or cameras south into the license plates and see how many minutes it takes them to come out the north. And if they get through in 7 minutes, they didn't stop. So if they get out in an hour, why, and that's gonna take money. But if we knew how many people are going to want to come to Blanco as opposed to how many are passing through, then we could work toward that end and then put your signs up or all kinds of stuff to attract the ones that are needing to stop, wanting to stop, or coming to Blanco specifically to stop.
Right, and builders may go under that, the business and tourism part of it. Like, what are we doing? What's gonna have the best impact, the most important impact on the businesses here, the economy here, the tourism here? That bypass, no bypass may fit under there. What will a truck route or a relief route do? Will it help or will it hurt? And that's where that committee will be working on all those things. So your perspective under there, I think makes good sense. Maybe a good place for it to be.
Do you know at this point where the freeway ends south of town and where it starts up again north of town? Are those plans available right now? Do we know how far south the freeway stops and how far north it starts up again? Any ideas?
We don't have that information yet.
They said that they were going to come down and expand the road to 4 lanes until they connected with the 4 lanes in Blanco. Right now, that's 15th Street and up here at Blanco Avenue by Seymour Garage.
So they're gonna expand on the bridge that crosses the Blanco River to.
No.
No, that's over
No.
4 lanes. That's not 4 lanes. They're not 4 lanes.
The city limits are not going to be touched with the expansion part. It is the traffic coming from the expanded part through the city that we are concerned about.
Okay, so the turnoff for 165 is south of that, the expansion.
That's about where the city limit is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the signs aren't in the right, TxDOT's never put the signs at the actual
Okay.
city limits.
And north of town, where would it start up again?
I'm not sure, but probably around Casey, right, on the other side of the hill.
As you crest the hill before you get to, what's that subdivision on the left? Brushy Farm?
Hills of Madrone is the first one that's on the left.
So it's gonna be right before that. There's where that city limit sign, I think, is pretty close to where it's supposed to be.
So that's a good portion on the north side of town. And on the south side of town, that is Bucksport roads.
Well, the south side is, along 281, the south side is currently more developed than the north side on 281.
How far south does it go? Where does this expansion stop on the south side of town?
All we've
Yeah,
heard
we
is,
don't
we haven't seen
have
that
that.
map, all they've said is city, it's gonna stop at the city limits.
Yeah.
So are they gonna, haven't seen any type of engineering or drawings on what does that mean to them? You know, they're not, obviously not gonna have, you know, 4 lanes and all of a sudden it just ends. They're
Are you
gonna have
allowed
to
to
have some
expand the
things to
city
work with.
limits all the way to Highway 46?
Don't miss.
Now, unfortunately,
That was
just
part of Comal County, so.
The Blanco County line?
Like I said, we don't really have that information yet, which, we are hoping that on the September 29th meeting, the public meeting with TxDOT, they will be able to provide us the actual details, but at this point, I don't know the exact location of where it's gonna stop and start.
So Rachel, it sounds like you're trying to really get in front of this. We don't have all the facts, we don't have all the information, it's coming. But we know it's coming, so we're just trying to get way in front of it. And these groups are here to dig through all of that and make sense of it for us
yes,
as it comes in.
yes,
Yeah.
and it'll be, what these groups will be doing, will be gathering, what I envision them doing is gathering as many facts, as much information, help develop the messaging under your subject area for that messaging. So when we are communicating with lawmakers, with the general public, with op-ed pieces in newspapers, when we talk to radio stations or news stations, when we are shining light on this and trying to create heat to help us get as favorable an outcome as possible, we're ready and we're loaded for bear. So we have facts and figures and ideas and talking points, and then we'll sort through those and select them. And they'll vary with audience. If you're talking to a group of business people and citizens that are more concerned about the economics of this, or members of the legislature who are very focused on the economics of what this impact will be, the message will be led much more with whatever decisions get made or consensus is built within that business economic tourism impact committee. If you're talking to people, citizens who are more concerned about historic preservation or the environment, then we want to know, what are all of the environmental impacts of this? What's it going to do with me, to the park, to the river, to the whatever. So that's what I said. You're doing the research, you're coming up with all of the arguments we have for, whoa, we got to slow this, we have to minimize it, we have to revisit it, we have to figure this out, and here's why. So that's what I imagine we're kind of.
One of the things that, for the historic preservation, starting down south on the county line, because I've been working with legislation because I'm also the historical commission chairman now for county. And they have asked to start documenting all historical features, especially on 281, but if we, whatever route it may take, how will it affect the historic features of Blanco County? And so we're trying to document, because there is documentation on a lot of that already. So it's just a matter of pulling it together so legislation can see and look at that, because it is proven that historic preservation does tourism. It brings in those dollars, those tax dollar money. So it all ties in to the economic development of communities. So that's a really important piece of the puzzle. To do.
So does that mean we have Jonelle Haas under the historic?
Yes, the one who was fixing to retire from all this crap.
See, we have these little boxes, now we're looking for the names. I only see Chief Reuben as a name, and then we do have Byron under the engine, but we got some names coming. So we got Jonelle's name, we've
And
got.
I think that it is important to, not just focus, I know this is a city, task force, but to look outside the city, like Twin Sisters and, all the historic between here and, 'cause this is, I mean, what they've told us for the expansion is the goal is to move traffic to Georgetown and then eventually get it flowing all the way up to Fort Worth. So it's gonna be affecting not just our city, the county, it's a big, commitment and, so we all need to start working together and that's one of the focuses. So I'm really glad that Jonelle is here with us.
Yes. And again, last night, for many of you were there, but for those of you who weren't, there were 180 people at the conservation meeting last night. Many from Johnson City, many from North Blanco County. They are just as concerned as to what an expansion like this will do to the character of the county. Because when you put a major highway, promoted as a major highway, you're gonna end up with more gas stations and convenience stores, more potential entry levels for more subdivisions, et cetera. So if you're here and you're handling one of these, please reach out to your cohorts in Johnson City and those folks because they care. They're landowners there. They may not be as well informed about this yet because it is a secondary impact to them, but there are a lot of folks who can see the bigger picture of what this will do, and they are concerned, and they're willing to be involved with it.
Someone else to, perhaps contact is there are relief studies going all the way up down to 81. Hamilton has a relief study going on.
Yes,
And Pasco has one going on.
yes,
Rayburg had one, they denied it.
right.
So there's been people who've gone through this ahead of us.
Yes,
There's a lot of information inside.
I've been able to talk to a lot of the different mayors in the hill country on 281. And we are in communication to see what they're doing, what we're doing, trying to get ideas and all of that type of stuff. Because I talked to the Lancaster's city manager recently and they told me about their relief group. Because we all know it's coming and we want to protect our charming little towns. So communication with everybody and anybody.
The other thing, but maybe Byron, maybe you know more about this. I don't know who does. Everybody knows more than I do because I was surprised and very happily to know that a road is not a road is not a road. And that if we end up deciding that some sort of a relief route is better, if that's the decision, it doesn't have to be a big, massive honking road. It can be, again, and this is where the pressure on TxDOT and TxDOT's engineering and design, but I've heard of routes that are narrower, smaller, that have conservation easements on both sides to prevent that kind of development right up to the highway, having them designated as scenic byways so that billboards and things are limited. So they are much more understated and less impactful on the environment and the aesthetics of the area. And I was encouraged to hear that. I guess to me, I figured once you tell TxDOT they're going to build a road, they just build it any old way they want. But apparently we can have some influence on that as well as we're considering options and trying to figure out what it is that's we want and what we can get.
Connie, I have a suggestion with one of these subcommittees. Would it be a good idea to have a small subcommittee, 2-3 people, that were the liaison actually talking to TxDOT rather than
No,
I think-
100 people calling?
For TxDOT communications, I'm gonna suggest that we have the task force subcommittee chairs come and talk to me and I will be the direct. I already have a really good relationship with our TxDOT representatives and we're already communicating about this project, keeping them in the loop. They're keeping me in the loop with as much information as they can. So what I would suggest would be instead of a lot of people going to contact TxDOT, just go through me and then I will be the main point of contact to TxDOT.
right. I think that's what we want, are these things to funnel into here. And then this is to help us figure out gathering all the data and the information we can, figuring out within your subgroups, it'll be open to bigger, bigger decisions as we gather a lot of that not me, you, gather a lot of that information through the committees and the larger communication about what it is we want, but then the text dot discussions will be limited to probably the mayor, the county judge, the folks that are
But even,
dealing, but that will be conveyed, will be what comes out of here.
okay, because I can see, like on the environmental and historic, questions coming in. Well, I heard that it's against the law too, kind of thing. You want to take on it? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I don't wanna have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah,
And I think it's a better plan to have one direct contact and, kind of just have me as I have myself listed as the PIO in the media, and that's also gonna be including the communication with TxDOT.
or any other legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Right, because again, we'll have access to our city attorney and he'll be able to work with us and advise us and help us. Hello, Tim. We're very fortunate because Tim has had a lot of experience in transportation across the larger areas in the state. So I think we're in a really good place to have those kinds of questions answered and help us know what's legal and what isn't, what's true and what isn't.
In the communications with TxDOT, it seems to me that as you work with, we need to try to position ourselves, and some of you won't like this word, but into a partnership with them and coming up with a reasonable solution rather than dealing with the enemy. Whether it's, how you
That's
personally
the
feel
only
about it
way.
doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
We need to work, and my question would be, kind of comes back to my traffic study. Maybe we shouldn't have to bear the cost of counting those trucks. Maybe we could ask TxDOT to do that study to help us get information on the economy so that we can use it to give them feedback.
They do their traffic counts,
Okay,
and unfortunately, that's why they're saying they need to do this.
but maybe they should tell us how many of those people stop here.
They don't stop.
They don't
stop.
They're stopping at stripes.
Yeah.
And then they're
Understand.
not stopping right to have lunch.
But we need numbers to support that.
So you can do the traffic count where you do it at different points along the road, see where the turnoffs are. And I think they've done them prior to me getting here. I've been trying to get some of those numbers, but council did authorize, us to get a radar check. We'll do traffic counts. So we hope to have that like right after October 1st, where we can put it in different places. And so that way you can kind of see, X number of vehicles entered the city at the city limits at 281. And then we do it like north of 4th to see how many of them are turning and just do them. So you have to do it different points along the road and also catch who's coming in on 165 because there's different entry points into the city. So you kind of have to move it around. So our plan is to do that for other regions, but it would be applicable to this as well.
So you're saying by October 1st, you could have that in place? No.
October 1st is our.
I can order it on October 1st. I can order it on October 1st. So, and then I'm sure there's some chip that's only made in Wuhan. So
How long are those things generally studied before you say, okay, we're going to do that?
So I normally, you do them a couple of days at different days of the week. I'm at, like right now, y'all go to Blanco and 281 and look to your south on a Friday and traffic's, past Rocky J. You go out there right now, it's not so bad. So we kind of have to do it at different times to show what the average is and what those peaks are.
So any reasonable time frame of when that will be ready to go? I'm just thinking as we get close, like I hope we're not going to do the study like in January.
Different
What
seasons.
time of year
It's,
is it better to have more cars showing or less cars showing, or does it even matter?
well, and that goes back to my point of statistics will either work or hurt you. So the more traffic you show, the more TxDOT's going to say they need those lanes. So that's why, you know, we have to be strategic, and yeah, we understand you need to move the traffic in, but to your point, it's a partnership, so we understand that. So you need to move these lanes through here, but what can we do to minimize that impact to the historic places? Or do we identify historic places where you want to have an egress lane so more people can visit? I mean,
It's a balance.
and then as you come through the city, do you do different traffic calming devices where you put sidewalks and more, you know, look at downtown Bernie, Business 87, they put in, you know, brick crosswalks and done things to make it more user friendly, but it's also more visual that, oh crap, there's a crosswalk and not, you know, the sign behind the tree that has, you know, people walking. So I think that's, you know, it's all you know, all these different committees are relative, which goes back to, I think, why you need that one point of contact, get all that one message.
So y'all are, the committees again, are the research, some of the strategies, some of the, or you'll come up with the research, you may have your own idea about strategically where they'll work, and it'll be shared with the other group as we do it, and the mayor will, and the city attorney, and the folks here will serve as the messenger, the conduit for what we're coming, what consensus we're building, what conclusions we're drawing, what asks we're developing, and then convey those or communicate those.
That's gonna be more powerful because just know, as we're doing this, like with the historic part, we're already working with Texas Historical Commission on all historical factors. They already have their own people that work directly with TxDOT.
Right.
The legislation have their own people that work with TxDOT. Each other organization that we're working with, the environmental people, they have their people that work just strictly with TxDOT. So each person, each organization outside of us should already have their liaison that's reaching out in their own professional ways to TxDOT.
Right, and for example, under environmental, and I think we can find, I would add Hill Country Alliance to that,
Yeah.
and the people that are
We just-
working.
For the, just so you know, we do have Hill Country Alliance under ended.
Oh, good.
I just tried to do like Blanco County, organizations with the subcommittees, and then,
These are examples that are good
Yeah.
organizations to
But we
reach
can also
out to,
reach out
so
to.
that you can reach
I wouldn't have
out.
a million committees, but have that, you know, the environmental
Yes.
committee could work with Hill Country.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with Texas Parks and Wildlife, and with
Yeah.
any and all of the organizations that you find that are concerned about those things. So this, I see what you mean, these are the references
Yes,
for
yes.
larger organizations that have a lot of resources that would likely fall under your category of work.
So
So,
I think under historic, definitely the county historic commission should be part of that. Because that is for the county, and that's what Janelle is.
So I have a question concerning maybe not oversimplified, but in talking about all of this, it seems, when do we get to the place where we decide, okay, we're gonna let them expand on either side of us and run the traffic through town and put cobblestones and nice things, or doing a relief route? Because it seems like some of this research and this activity that we're gonna do would be better spent perhaps knowing, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Because we could be doing a lot of work and spending a whole lot of time that's gonna end up being irrelevant because that's not what's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems like, and once we get to the place where we kind of have an idea, like and maybe it's after the TxDOT meeting, we'll know more, but it seems like after we get to that place, we're gonna be able to get people on board a little bit better and work more efficiently.
But I would think though that you almost is concurrent, because because 281, although, and this is my opinion, was the announcement on the radio, my opinion is not necessarily that the station. But, so to me, it's almost concurrent. So 281 is still a state highway.
Yeah.
So even if there's enough convincing power and funding to do a relief route, 281 is still the state's. So if it's in the best interest of the task force to say the relief route is going to take away the 18-wheelers who don't want to come through town, but we still want more than the traffic we have now because of the economic impact it may have on the city, can we leverage tech stop to do those pretty traffic calming features because it's their highway? It runs through our town, but it's their
Thank
highway.
you, that's what I
We're
was
getting
like.
them to the table now, so with them at the table, we know we want, the reason we went to them in the first place was because the traffic was already horrific.
Right.
So while we have them at the table, it is that opportunity to say, wow, we also need whatever that is. If they're gonna barrel through town, we really need it, but even if they aren't, it's gonna be more traffic and you've gotta slow it, you've gotta help us manage it, and you've gotta do all those other
Thank you.
things.
So every year, it's like black and white. It's not 281 doesn't cease to exist coming through town.
Yeah, it's still, we don't want 1,018 millers, but at the same
Yeah.
time, what can they
They
do
still
to
gotta
help
have
us
cars
inside?
coming up and down regardless.
When it comes to the upper or, no reason to wait on revitalization, start that now, we need it. You know, we need
Right.
these things, go ahead and start
Yeah,
putting money into
absolutely.
that, and doing that, if that starts working, it's great. You know, then decide for a relief route later, that's fine, 10 years down the road, when it gets built. You know, in the meantime, we're doing something, getting something down on the streets, it's gonna help, need it.
You know, if you want to keep the trucks out, but you want the cars to come, then you need to think about the design of the bypass. Do you want an exit onto 165? Because that's going to take a whole lot of cars that want to go to Austin.
That's right.
And then they don't come through Blanco, or do you not have an exit there?
Right.
Cars still come through Blanco the old way, down 163 to 165 if they want to go.
And again,
Or they
it's-
come to Blanco.
Yeah, and this, I think, again, goes to people like Byron and folks that have had larger experiences in transportation as to when do those truck routes really tend to be more truck routes and relief routes and not steering all of the tourism traffic out. And I know a lot of that has to do with where they are, how they're designed, how the signage is, how all of those things that I don't know about. But if, based on what I've been told by as many people that have told me anything, what I'm hearing is that seems to be what most of the citizens in Blanco want. They want that 18-wheelers out of here. They want the cars to continue to feel flowing through, but they still want some traffic calming to slow even those cars and pickup trucks and things down as they make their way through. And that's what I'm hearing. I don't have a poll. I can't tell you that's it for real, but, and then because of the love of the hill country, whatever that truck route or relief is, to have it as minimally impactful
Right.
and as aesthetically designed as possible, so that it isn't some big roaring, honking, abusive kind of thing.
From an engineering standpoint, you can impact the way people go with good signage. If you've got a sign that says Lukenbach and it takes you into the old route down through downtown to take a left turn, that brings the cars. If you don't have a Lukenbach sign, they don't go and they take the bypass.
Can you just do something, Chief, that says to the effect, can you require 18-wheelers to take a route? Can you say all trucks must exit? I mean, you can say no airplanes.
So because it's a state, it's a US highway, I don't think we can regulate that, but the way you regulate that is based on the type of road material. Can they limit the weight of the vehicles? You can limit it based on their load. If it's a hazardous cargo, you can not have come through here. And that's, we have to look and see what is that road rated at, and I honestly don't know if this is already a hazardous route or not. I mean, but those are things we have to look at.
Education.
And I did just wanna, mention this, we are trying to get away from the B word, bypass. We are trying to make sure that everybody calls it the relief route or the truck route, because bypass it's a bad word. It concerns people, so we are really trying to start saying relief route.
Did I understand from this gentleman here that the relief route in Fredericksburg was voted down, or they
That is correct.
voted down?
Right, and I think it's important to know that the reason for that primarily was money, because right now it is our understanding that if a municipality requests a relief route, that while TxDOT will pay for the engineering and the construction, et cetera, it is the responsibility of the municipality to acquire the land right of way, the land acquisition right of way. It was going to cost the people of Fredericksburg $40 million to acquire all the land rights necessary, the rights of way to be able to do that. And they decided they didn't want to spend $40 million on that. So that's, and which I will tell you, we are simultaneously exploring funding options, because as you all know, the city of Blanco cannot afford to
Put it across.
purchase. Right, thank you. We can afford to put in a little bridge, the pedestrian bridge over 281, which be that point. But,
And the Fredericksburg, they were working with their TxDOT representatives really closely, and so they had a great communication from what I've heard. And that's what we're gonna plan to do, to keep our relationship with TxDOT, because we want to all work together. You know, this isn't an ideal situation, but we have to do our best.
Does anybody know, okay, does anybody know how to do a, to get 281 through the hill country, this maybe the scenic highway?
we'll be working with Scenic City, because
Yes.
Scenic City is the.
Because that's another,
state-
that's a tourism thing by itself. I mean,
Right.
that's an automatic draw in, and trucks automatically go, "Oh, this is not gonna be good for me."
The city actually has an application in right
Okay,
now for
good.
Scenic City certification,
Okay.
and we will be hearing in October what our status is on that.
Okay,
And so that will be another, hopefully, leverage that we have, along with the international dark
so we
sky
started
community.
at 306. Please.
Connie or Rachel, are you saying that Blanco is the sponsor? That Blanco City is the sponsor of a relief route, therefore they would be responsible for funding acquisition of property in the county? Because if there's a relief route, it's highly likely it's gonna be outside the city.
Because the city's requesting it.
That's what I'm saying, so effectively, we're sponsoring,
We had,
we gotta come up with the money.
we would be working with the county. Because when we requested the relief route, we had to get, the county to also agree to that too. So we're definitely gonna be working with the county.
That would be another issue too, if this relief route outside the city limits, the city's not gonna have any say so on what goes on, and how it's built on it.
Yeah, the counties where, that's where the
But
county.
if the city,
Yeah.
if the city itself is actually purchasing the land, doesn't that then comes part of the city?
I don't think so.
Because that odd piece of property we have down across from Church Tanks,
No, I don't think so.
Would the county, would the city come up with the money?
Yes.
Effectively have the DOT do the eminent domain action? Now, if we transfer the money to the
I think
highway
that's the
department?
reason they want us to do it, but I think let's just say we're working on that.
Yeah.
That doesn't really require a committee, because right now we've got our attorneys and our elected officials and our legislators aware that that's all a huge concern that would significantly limit our options, would be the funding. So we're exploring other possibilities, but I was just telling you, that's what happened in Fredericksburg. And it's something we have to work on, because unless we find some answer to that, the whole issue of the viability of a relief route becomes a real challenge though.
May I suggest we identify the individuals
Yes,
associated and then come back for general discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I ask what Cascades, Roosevelt and Brook?
You're good.
Cascade, Roosevelt and Brent. Cascade.
Oh, get a logo from Blanco, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Right, what we're looking at is our communication materials, some branding to look right. I mean, what is our ask gonna be? And then what will we call that?
Yes.
It was, yeah. Remember when we did Save Blanco State Farm? That was it, say Flamingo State Park. That was our
Very
main,
much.
that was very much, I remember that was very much. So what would we be asking for? What would we be saying? How would it look? Again, it goes back to kind of a consistent message. So every member.
OBCCPS, same thing, OBCCPS.
Yes.
I blame it, it's a little mouthful, so that's why it became.
Yeah,
OBCCPS.
right. So that's what who knows, maybe we come up with a good acronym. We always love acronyms, don't we? Who knows? But that will be part of it. What will our message be? How will it be impactful, consistent, convey whatever it is that we're deciding that we want to do?
So going back to the subcommittees. Do we have any volunteers that would like to step up and share? For the
I think that too, I saw you write it down,
company,
business, tourism, and then
okay,
obviously that's our.
Is anybody here from the Flamingo State Park?
I'll do the VHC. And then you'll know I'll do the county. This one.
And what's this one?
And
And two of them, so you get two for the price of one.
I can talk to, the treasurer of the Friends of the Flamingo State Park, Jennifer Boynes, and I bet she would be.
that'd be great.
To do that, I'll see her today.
And if there are any other environmental organizations, I just picked the two out off the top of my head that I can think of. And I believe that like a Friends of the Night Sky will be able to help. Is that correct? Martha?
I'm not making a promise.
And wouldn't Key Blanco Beautiful maybe follow that?
Yes.
Environmental
Yes.
too? If you watching this, all the cardboard in the city's trash cans, maybe? I'll take it to the recycling center for you.
That'd be great.
What does CAPCOG stand for?
Capital Area Council of Governments.
What is the P stand for?
Control, I guess. I don't know.
CAP, short for cap. Short for capital area.
I guess chaos didn't sound good.
Right.
Rachel? I would step up and be environment, but quite frankly, I don't think right now it's time for me to do that. But I'd love to do it on November 9th, find out if I should do it.
That sounds great. And by then we will hopefully have more information from NextDOT as well.
Are they saying that they're gonna give, like, are we really anticipating that we're gonna get more information out of this meeting on the 29th? Is that going out? I mean, I know that's a little cynical,
I know,
but.
I have no idea.
I'm an optimist, so I'm hoping.
Yeah.
At least have more information on like the actual locations.
I
believe you will have that, but I'm not making any promises, I don't know. And I probably should mention that I think I already have, but just to reiterate that this, their public meeting on the 29th will not be including the rookie round. So that is a separate project for them, so we will be having a different
We're just talking
schedule.
expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll find out more about exactly where did they see that, if they have that yet. And the other thing that I think is a little unclear, and they may not have answered yet, is the timing on when that forward expansion is going. Because again, they text out, I know, because the initial conversation between with the mayor, a brief comment with the mayor of Hamilton, TxDOT had visited with them about their potential expansion coming through Hamilton, whether they would do a relief route. So they are already looking at that straight 281 going all that far. So the discussion about it tying in for Georgetown, I don't, that's confusing, it's perplexing to me. So I don't know where they are on their timing beyond just getting it up to the 290 spot and where they're gonna pick up from there. So maybe some of those answers will be there. They are doing a big something on that exchange where 290 comes into 281. I don't know if they're gonna do a flyover, a dig under,
Well,
run
I got-
around.
I got the impression, looking at the ad in paper and everything that's saying that TxDOT has already initiated a relief route study.
They had to study, but
Yes.
that's it. They just said they're gonna work on that, but they're not talking about that.
They're putting things on
Okay,
the
I get what
teams.
you, okay.
I know, right?
Talking on the relief route study.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, no,
And
nothing there yet.
We are, early on all of this, which I think is a good thing because we're thinking about the future. And that's why we're here today. Because, their TxDOT's plan is public involvement from 2022 to 2023. So we are right at the beginning phase of all of this. We are just trying to be transparent with everybody to make sure that we are able to do as much as we can to make this work best for everybody. So we don't have anything on the relief route, but we have requested it and they are working on it, but that is a separate project from this project.
Did we get people that? And Myra, is there somebody, I mean, I know you're doing, would it be helpful, obviously for you, if we had a local engineering background kind of person that's boots on the ground here all the time that can do research, look at stuff, help you out, feed you information, everything? I don't expect you to be doing all of this.
Yeah, I mean, take any help I can get.
Okay,
It's up to you guys, or maybe, I don't know, Steve.
that's what I'm thinking. You know, we've got a couple of engineers on CMAC. Most of them are water stuff, but there are a couple of other engineers that I know.
Yes, if he's interested, is all.
Yeah, there are a couple others in town that I know are civil engineers that have done, Yeah.
Especially to coordinate with the county and the other.
Right.
counties.
yes, cool. We'll find another, we'll all go on the hunt for a name to go in there with fire.
And the other thing that we kind of touched on briefly is the working draft of the outreach communication work plan. This is a draft, if you can't tell, it says draft everywhere. But the ideas of, to get us started, and I just wanted to give it to everybody to make sure they have it, and then I thought next meeting we could focus more on this. This meeting was mainly about the subcommittees and getting that situated, but, the working plan is, the next big step that we will have. Are there any more comments on that?
So we should just mark this up and be prepared to talk next time.
Yes.
How often will this next time be?
I'd like to meet monthly. I know 11:30 on a Friday is not ideal for everybody, so I really appreciate y'all joining us today. So, I'm going to send out a link for what times and dates are best for everybody for meetings, and then I will go from there if that works for everybody. Because I want to make sure that we're inclusive and that as many people who want to join us can join us. Which, that being said, I realized I did not have a sign-up sheet, so after we're done, if you don't mind coming up here and signing in with your email address, and I'll have us all on the same, working. Is there any more discussion?
Thank you for all your work and leadership on this, Mayor.
Well, I'm going to, close the meeting at 12:27.
I feel as long as you got it.
Essentially, yeah. They start looking at it.
Yeah.